Hey YouTube, I'm Peggy Lu Who, and this is my channel, Peggy Lu Who Reads, or Peggy Lu Who Reads. Welcome if you are new here, welcome back if you are not. I always like to start out by giving a shout out and some appreciation to my subscribers, all 43 of you as of recording this. And as always, I like to give a special shout out, a little bit of extra love to my supreme subscriber and #1 fan, Gyasu Mama. Real quick before I get into the video, I just want to give a shout out to a creator who I love. Her name is Swoop, and she does short documentaries that are not book related, but current affairs, a lot of times covering what shenanigans other creators up here on YouTube are getting into, but from a different perspective than what you usually see on like gossip channels or whatever. And she always sort of centers the people who are being impacted by and having their actions done to them, some might say the victims of certain behaviors, as opposed to always centering the perpetrators. And so that's why I think that her channel is much more interesting and enjoyable than some of the other T channels or whatever you want to call them. And this is a new hoodie that I just got. I purchased for myself from her new merch line. So if you are looking for some content that is not book related, I'll put a link down below and you should check her out. She is pretty fun. The Petty University is a segment she does on her documentaries where she sort of takes a step back and you know, gets a little petty in order to break up the seriousness of some of the topics that she covers. And she's definitely just, it's a coping mechanism that I partake of and that I appreciate. And so I just wanted to give a shout out. She's great. This is not a paid endorsement. I don't know her personally. I just have been watching her channel for a while and really enjoyed it. So check out Swoop. Link in the description. So this is going to be my November wrap-up video. I slowed way down in November and only finished 4 books, and that is not the pace that I would like to be keeping up, but it is what it is. So this video shouldn't be as long. I did not script this. I'm just going to ramble through it. So as always, I'm going to do the thing where instead of doing like 5 out of 5 stars, I'm going to do 5 out of 5 something to do with the book that I am describing. Funny thing about this is that most of these books I don't have a physical copy of. I either borrowed them from the library, they were an ebook, or I have borrowed them from someone else and given them back, or I have loaned them out to someone. I love loaning books out to people because I just want to share reading with all of my friends and family. So that being said, the first up this month, and again going from in the order that I finished them. So first up was Legendborn by Tracy Dion. This is the first in the Legendborn series. It is the retelling, or not really a retelling, but a continuation of the Arthurian legend in the current time, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5 mystical monsters or demons. So it follows the lead character whose name I cannot remember, and because I don't have the book, I can't just open it up and look at it. Shit. Main character Bree, who is a 16-year-old girl who has gotten early admittance into an early admittance program at UNC Chapel Hill, where she encounters within the first few days that she's there some unusual magical goings on. And I won't go too far into the synopsis. I did that in my TBR video and I covered this, but the things I liked about it the most were that it really covered a lot of things that were not necessarily just the mythology and the action and the plot, but a real human and gorgeous, heartbreaking narration and explanation of grief that really spoke to me. I've lost a few people, and so unfortunately have plenty of my own personal experience with grief, but it really resonated with me. And I thought that the character development was really good. There is a lot of representation. You're seeing more and more of this in the YA books that are being published now, which I appreciate. It doesn't shy away from discussions of racism, of classism, etc. There are individuals from across the LGBTQIA plus community, and the main character is a Black girl, and there is a lot of awesome sort of side detail in the character development about how she feels about her body and how she feels about her hair that I really thought was great and a positive message. So I would definitely feel like this is something that is great for young readers to check out. The one thing that I would say that kind of distracted for me was that it's fairly obvious that they're setting up the love triangle for the second book, and it was a little bit a la Twilight, although much better written book than anything in the Twilight series. So for that reason, 4.5 out of 5 Mystical Demons. The next book that I finished in the month of November is the only one that I have a physical copy of right here, and that is Bloodlike Magic. This is also the first in a series, and it's by Lizelle Sambury. This was a pick for a book club that was Jan Agathon's Full Moon Book Club, and so Jan runs this book club on her channel and usually has a co-host that she does a live book recap discussion at the full moon of every month. So I wanted to join along and read the book and see how that went. So that's why I sort of went outside of my TBR. So this book is about a young girl who it's set in the future, and she is part of a magical family. And as part of the magical family, when she comes of age, and begins menstruating, she will go through a calling where one of her ancestors will set her a task, and if she passes the task, then she will get her magic. The task that is set for her is more intense than any of the previous tasks that people in her family have been asked to complete, and she is asked to kill her first love. And so this isn't really that's not really a spoiler. Like, that's definitely like at the very beginning of the book. And so the girl's name is Voya, and so the things that were great about this book, just really centering a Black girl and her family, their joy, and their own individual personalities. They're not caricatures in any way, shape, or form. They are Canadian, which is funny. So one of the things I didn't like about the book was the constant references to, like, because they're Canadian, she's constantly apologizing, which I just was like, okay, we get it, you're Canadian. Moving on. But yeah, so the other thing that, like, oh, I guess I forgot to say this. Yeah, so for that reason, I gave it 2.5 out of 5 cliches about being Canadian. The other things that I didn't really like about the book is that there's kind of a twist, and I saw it coming from like the second or third chapter, and it's not a short book, so like most of the way through I was just waiting for them to get to it. And I think that of the other people that read the book and did the book club, it definitely seems like that tainted my appreciation of it. A lot of other folks liked it more. Similarly to Legendborn, there is a lot of great representation across the LGBTQIA plus community, and there are different types of families, different types of family structures. She lives in a household with her entire extended family, which includes her mom and her father, and they're separated, and her father is now remarried to another woman, and so she has her younger half-sister. She has several cousins, there's trans representation. It highlights classism, and in the future, it's sort of a semi-tech dystopia in that the tech industry and the continued progress of the tech industry has continued to expand the chasm between the haves and the haves and have-nots. So there, you know, genetic tailoring is much more prevalent, and all that technology is available to those that can afford it, and it has created a pretty wide, like I said, a chasm between the haves and the have-not, because the people with money can get all kinds of genetic tweaks that will help them be more successful, and also upper education has become, you know, continued to become more out of reach for folks with a lower economic situation. So, and there's a lot of like taking advantage of folks based on them needing the sponsorship of some wealthy person in order to be able to be successful and have an education. So there's a lot that's good that's covered in this, but again, like I said, like some of the cliches just really got to my nerves, and then also just the fact that the twist was not like opaque at all. Like I said, it was very transparent. I knew exactly what was going to happen in the end. So this is the first in a series as well. It's the Bloodlike Magic series, and I don't know that I will read the second one. I definitely don't think I'll buy it. If I decide to read it, I might check it out from the library or something. Next up in November, I read The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. And if you don't know, Haruki Murakami is sort of a Japanese author who has many, many books and is an author in the magical realism genre, which I like. Very similar to Gabriel Garcia Marquez. And so I really love this book, and I gave it 5 out of 5 missing cats. This book was loaned to me by a friend, actually a friend who I had discussed House of Leaves with, and he's read that as well, and he didn't appreciate it either. And so he was like, no, you have to read this book instead because it's so much better. And he's right. I absolutely loved it. Again, 5 out of 5. This is probably something that I might consider putting onto my favorite books shelf. It follows the main character, again, whose name I cannot remember. And he basically has recently left his job. He and his wife have decided that he doesn't need to go back to work right away, and that he can stay home and sort of manage their household. And so he's just sort of a house husband, and it's set in the late 80s and in Tokyo, and she asks him to help track down their cat who has gone missing. And so in seeking to find this cat, she puts him in touch with several odd characters, including her odd brother, who is actually, the cat is named after the odd brother, and the brother and the husband don't necessarily get along well. And he meets his neighbors. He meets like a weird kind of medium lady that's supposed to be helping him find the cat, allegedly. But shortly into the story, his wife kind of goes missing. And so the narrative shifts from looking for the cat to looking for the wife and what happened to her and that mystery. And so it's a lot to try and explain. I'm not going to go into the full details of the synopsis, but like I said, there's magical realism, there's elements of the sort of surreal and magical, and there's so many great characters. There's so many moments that just like punch you in the gut, where you're just, what the hell? It's not a short book, and I'm sure that like every time that you reread it, if you reread it, you'll find something that you just didn't really catch on to or pay attention to the first time you read it. Like I could definitely see, like if I read it again, there would be things that I'd be like, oh yeah, I didn't really pick up on that the first time. Talking to my friend about it, he's read it several times, and we were talking about just how there's different things that you focus on depending on where you're coming from, your personal context. It's really that type of book that you can just really be immersed in it and get what you're putting into it out of it, which I really loved. And so I feel like it's the type of thing that Daniel Lewski was trying to do with House of Leaves that just seemed kind of bogus and shticky, but Murakami does it way better. So again, 5 out of 5 missing cats. Finally, in the month of November, I read Shadow and Bone, which is the first in the Grisha Chronicles, and it is recently been turned into a television series, I think on Amazon. I'm not sure. One of the streaming services. I want to watch the series. That's why I read the book. That's why I took it out from the library on my ebook reader, and I gave it 3 out of 5 primary color clothing-based caste systems. So in Shadow and Bone, we are following a girl who is an orphan of a war, and her fellow orphan friend who she's formed a really strong bond with. And in this system, when children are of a certain age, they are tested to see if they have any innate abilities that would put them into this elite warrior class, into one of the 3 different groups, which are all represented by a different color. And they are all led by the Darkling, whose color is black. And she is initially not found to have any sort of powers or anything, so she just becomes recruited into the general army, and she becomes basically a map mirror because she's not very strong, and she's not like a warrior type. She's on a mission. Her and her buddy, who she's been friends with her whole life, and who she's secretly in love with, of course, are together on this mission, and something happens, and some power comes out of her. And so the book is about what happens with her, what that means for her, and all of the political wrangling that is going on around her that she's suddenly subjected to as she becomes part of this caste system. So, yeah, I mean, I give it 3 out of 5. It was okay. I read it. I breezed through it. Like I said, I want to watch the show, so that's the reason why I wanted to read the book first. I'm not really sure how many books there are in this series. Oh, did I mention that it was written by Leigh Bardugo? I think I left that part out. Whoopsie. Yeah, Leigh Bardugo. So I don't know how many books are in the series. I don't know that I'll read any more of them. I might put them on like my library wish list for later. I wasn't like in love with it. I think I got out of it what I wanted to get out of it before I watched the show, and that's about it. So that's my November wrap up. I mentioned that there are some things that I'm going to be trying to get going and get live before the end of the year. I hope that you enjoy them. Please let me know in a comment if you have any questions or suggestions on things you'd like to see on my channel, especially as we're wrapping up this year and going on into the next. I am planning on doing a series of best of, worst of for 2021, and also there is the always mentioned, never quite showing up videos for the rereading of my favorite bookshelf challenge, so keep an eye out for that, I guess. Like, subscribe, yada yada, yakety smackety, you know the deal. And until next time, read well.